What is the story behind your why?
Wow. So my story behind my why came out of nowhere. That's not something I expected, nor did I know much about homelessness. So now I work on the foundation that mentors the homeless. And when I first had a vision, it was actually in a silent retreat. And I specifically went on the silent retreat to seek God's really guidance on what's my purpose. And the vision that I had was really a business plan. So it was a specific way to organize an organization that's going to help people through faith and community. And I was really overwhelmed by that vision at first because my background didn't match at all with what I was about to do. I was in corporate sales. I was atheist most of my life, didn't have a big Christian community around me. And so when I started building this, it was really just a big leap of faith. And so now, fast forwarding almost a year and a half later since I started, um, it's really when they people ask me why, like the short answer is because God asked me to. But in reality, I found a lot of pleasure in really building something that's bigger than myself and being an advocate for those who don't have the voice. And one of the things that I've done through this journey is I've really committed everything in my life to this mission. So something that I have not shared before in any other podcast that I want to share today is that I am so passionate and committed that I have actually went ahead and in order to finance this startup, I've sold my condo and I've sold my car. And so for the last 2 years, since I started working, I have been really, putting all my finances into it, right, to be able to continue to live off of the savings and to invest into this mission. And so I think a lot of people maybe find it surprising because when they see me, they see a different kind of very confident, well dressed CEO of an organization. But the reality of things is that my passion has driven my decision to do this and really commit and really give everything I own into the mission and the purpose.
Thank you for sharing that. There's one thing to listen to the Lord, and there's the other thing to actually do what the Lord says. So tell me about that when you got to know that, hey, this is your mission,
Mhm.
and that step from taking that part and then actually selling all those things and just diving head first. How did that feel like? And how did that decision, how did you take that decision?
It's not an easy decision, first of all, because that's basically radical obedience to the Lord, right? And we do have examples of that, obviously, in the Bible, and we have examples of people in real life who's done it. But we always think that it's kind of an exception and it's never going to happen to you until it does, right? And I never expected that this would happen to me. When it first happened, it honestly, the visual I can give you is jumping off the cliff, not knowing what's behind, and what's below and what's going to happen. It's really nerve wracking because after being somebody who was really high earner, I was in sales doing really well, going from earning so much money and really defining your worth and your value from how much money you earn to basically in God's kingdom, the values are completely different. So, I have not made nearly as much money, if not at all, since I started this organization. But the impact that I've created on people's lives and transforming people has been just so significant. Where in the past, I feel like I really have not generated anything into this world that would make this world a better place. And so now I judge really my work a little bit differently, which was quite an adjustment because, again, coming from over 10 years in sales, where your success is measured by money, to now going to mission driven work where your success is really driven by how many lives you transform and how much impact you make on this world, a positive impact. So I would say it's not the journey for the faint of hearts. It's very difficult. There's times that I struggle. It's not an easy walk where I say it's always rainbows and sunshine. Sometimes I've had doubts. I've had thoughts of, why am I doing this? Like, I could be, making so much more money if I went to corporate and not worry about how my bills are going to get paid. But then when I truly decide, like, am I ready to quit this and go back to corporate? The answer is always no, because I just don't think I could ever go back to work where I'm not touching people's hearts and lives.
Wow. Thank you for being that authentic and sharing with us today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
What would you say is success to you, Anna?
Well, that's kind of going back to what I just talked about, right? And for the longest time, success was really for me measured by material things, right?
Hmm.
The fact that for the longest time, my biggest goal was to purchase this beautiful condo in the middle of the city with high rises. And that was like, wow, I've made it, right? And then I remember I made the biggest purchase of my life and I renovated it exactly how I wanted, pouring thousands of dollars into it. And I was sitting on my couch and a month goes by and I'm sitting and I'm like, okay, well, now what? Because that happiness that was brought by that purchase was very short lived, a month, that's
Hmm.
it. And I was working for that goal for years. And I think that was the defining moment that opened up the doubt in my mind, where it's like, there has to be more to life than this, more than just being in this race of let me earn more so I can purchase something bigger, only to be satisfied for a month and then going back to being dissatisfied, working more until you die. And I was like, there has to be more to life. And so it has been really a 180 flip and shift in mindset, because now for me, success is the legacy that I leave after I'm no longer on this earth, right? I've never would have imagined that I would have several books written. I have podcasts, right, that is only going to live forever on the internet, that people are going to hear me speak on stages, and that I'm going to have this organization that hopefully keep doing the work long after I'm gone. So success to me now is how much impact I make on this world, but it's a positive impact that creates lasting change in people's lives.
That's awesome. Um, is there a place that you want to see it in your lifetime that you want to achieve when it comes to changing lives?
This is a really interesting question, because there's something I have to always think about, right? We have this ambition and I have this ego that sometimes I have to keep it in check, right? This mission, I'm just the shepherd and I'm just the fulfiller of God's purpose. So sometimes, my big vision was always like, oh, I want to see it grow nationally. I want this organization to solve homelessness in this country, right? And this is a very ambitious goal. But then you kind of have to decide, okay, but is this in God's plan? Is this something that he wants to do? So this is something that he showed me that will happen, right? The vision was that this organization is going to grow nationally. But then I had a spiritual advisor that asked me a very good question. And that's why I think it's very important for us to have mentors and advisors. He said, well, how do you know that it's you who is meant to do that? And that gave me a pause. I said, you're right. I don't know if it's me. I know that I was meant to start it, but I don't know if I meant to work on this temporarily to launch it and then somebody else is supposed to take it. Or is it actually going to be me who's going to fulfill this, right? And so that allows you to really hold everything with open palms and say, Lord, let your will be done. And if it's meant to be, and if it's meant for me to take it, yes, I would love nothing more. I mean, what a legacy to say, right? That I have grown something from just nothing to national movement. I mean, that's a dream come true, right? That's something that I would be like, wow, I have really made it. This is the success for me. But at the same time, if you allow your ego to drive it, that's when you a lot of the times make mistakes, and then you become not the kind of leader that people want to follow. And we hear a lot of examples of highly narcissistic, egotistical CEOs that really start treating their organizations like their playbooks, and they just make a lot of bad decisions, and then that negatively affects their ministry, their work. And so I always keep that in mind, that I have to really in the beginning make sure that I work on my character, and to be the kind of leader that people actually want to follow if this organization to be successful and to grow nationally.
You mentioned that, and that goes directly to my next question then. And what is a great leader to you?
Yeah, so I think a great leader inspires people to be better and to do good. And so when I judge whether, I'm a great leader, I look at people around me. And what I see is that when I speak, um, they get motivated to change. They want to come alongside of me and help and do good, right? And it's amazing to see all these busy professionals who decide to dedicate their time and mentor the homeless. And that's a big 18-month commitment that they sign up for. But also, I think it's important, again, to have checks and balances. So, a great leader also has a group of trusted advisors who are there to tell them, hey, you need to do this or do that. But I think the biggest thing is your connection with God. So, I just recently, 2 weeks ago, came back from my silent retreat. I go every 3 months or so. And this time, my hope was to go to really focus on strategy for next year. So my questions really were about strategy, and like, oh, what am I supposed to do? But it was interesting. God was really quiet on all of those. But the areas where he was spoken was all about my own character building. So listen to what happened. I quit my corporate job, right? I mentioned that about 3 years ago. And God revealed to me that when I quit so abruptly, that has caused a lot of just, I guess, unnecessary tension on the operations of that business. And I never apologized for it. So imagine I was like, oh no, like, yeah, this is not good what I've done. And so 3 years later, I reached out to the owner of that organization and said, this probably comes as a surprise after 3 years, but I just, realized how much unnecessary heartbreak and just tension I have caused with my abrupt exit. I wanted to apologize and wanted to say that this was nothing personal and I was going through a really difficult time. But on top of that, I thanked them because the savings that I was able to acquire during my time of employment with them is what allowed me to pursue my purpose and passion. And so I really was grateful to them, but I never said it. And so this was my opportunity. And so I guess the message is it's never too late to say thank you. It's never too late to apologize. And it's always good to check in to see where you should really sharpen your character to be a better leader, more humble, and really seek that from the council and from God. Of
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Anna.
course.
Um, it might come as a shock to you, but I wholeheartedly believe that every one of us um, are put on this earth at this particular time for a specific reason,
Mhm.
and it's we should try to find that purpose and reason that we are here for. And I know that once you find that purpose, the energy and effort and things you do from that point onwards, whole different. It's a whole different level of things. Like
Mhm.
you something you feel. I can't express it,
Yes.
but something you do, and it's something you feel, and the lives you change, and your aura changes around you.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. I hope people find that today. I hope they're able to look into within themselves and communicate to whosoever they communicate. They're able to find that for themselves and
Yeah.
feel that what you and me feel.
I agree with you. I think fear is what's causing hesitation to really take that leap of faith to pursue what you're passionate about. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that each of us has a specific purpose. And sometimes the purpose is big and sometimes it's small, but it's nevertheless is very important. And when you fulfill it, that's when you find that happiness and peace that I would not rather do anything else. And this doesn't necessarily only mean work, right? It could be volunteering in a certain organization, or it could be being a parent. So it's variety of things, but nevertheless, the feeling that you get and the satisfaction is that similar feeling you get, whether it's work or vacation.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.